You know, it would be helpful if I actually started, I don't know, recording live. Just hit the go live button. This is how much I do this shit. Well, hi everybody. All two of you. Hi John. Hi John. Two Johns. Sure. All right, so we're live. We're on YouTube. So now that I've done all this other stuff that I didn't think to do, yeah, now it's all good. Of course it is. All right, send in your chat is live. It should be up there. Did you put anything? Yes, thank you, John. I knew you were here. I knew you'd be here because you've been retweeting everything. I knew you were going to be here. So if nobody else is here, it's going to be just us, and it's basically just going to be a thing that we do that's going to last a half an hour because you guys have read everything. And John Parker, I know you're here. You're in the podcast episode that, John Durda, you should have listened to the whole thing, man. I think you did. I hope you did. All right, so it's been a crazy 4.5 hours. From 2 o'clock on, from when Pete Hamill posted that Daniel Robinson was going to get the North Texas job, to about 10 minutes ago where it's official. He is now the new head coach at North Texas. First of all, I would like to thank North Texas for not screwing Cleveland State into the ground out of $200,000. Thank you for that solid. Thank you for doing that solid for us. So, very important that happened. By the way, in the chat, I put the link to the list of my candidate, the potential candidates, the initial list of the initial list, at least. It's going to be a longer list than what I have right now. I know John and I discussed a few of these, obviously. A few other names have popped in. It's possible. So, by the way, for those of you who do not know the North Texas situation right now, it is Russ Hodge is still coaching this team right now. He has a game on Tuesday in the semifinals of the NIT. So theoretically, the earliest he would actually leave North Texas is Wednesday. And that's if they lose. If they win, he's still going to be there until the end of the week. So North Texas has 2 head coaches now. So yes, a co-head coach in the NIT. I don't know that it would actually happen, but it would be funny if it did, honestly. So yeah, we talked about a few of these. So we talked about a bunch of different coaches potentially coming into this. And I have my initial list again. It's in the chat. You can click on the link. And there you go. Everything's cool. Well, Cleveland State is certainly not going to be bereft of picks, believe me. Having an extra $200,000 would be helpful because it's going to be the buyout, as I mentioned in the podcast episode, and as I mentioned when I did the story on the Daniel Robinson contract extension in December, the buyout, if he leaves before April 1st of this year, is $500,000. So if they wait until after Russ Hodge was actually done with the NIT, they would have been out of $200,000. So now they have $500,000. I am glad. See, I'm glad you brought that up, John Parker. That is. So it's a lot of. Where's all the Johns coming from? Seriously, man. All right. So if you've been following on Twitter, John Fanta, he is very, very well versed in basketball knowledge, without a doubt. Not even going to dispute it. So he put out that one of the people that that CSU should seriously consider is Jay Shunner. I mentioned it a little bit in the article, in the piece I put out. I don't hate the idea. I don't hate the idea. My only concern on that front would be the experience, because he's only been, he's a relatively young coach, has had very little, his experience has been only at the assistant level. But I don't hate the idea. I mean, he knows the system, he knows the university, he knows the community. So, if that is the direction they go, and it's not unprecedented for internal promotions, especially not in the Horizon League, as we have seen. We've had some mixed results, obviously. Ian Faulkner did an outstanding job this season. Clint Sargent struggled a little bit in his first year, but it's worth taking a look at least in my estimation. Yeah. I don't want Laval Jordan, John. John's over here suggesting Laval Jordan. We did him already, didn't we? He coached 1 year in Milwaukee, then magically disappeared back to Butler, and then that was it. I don't know about that one. So, to your point, John, and this is actually kind of the direction I was kind of looking at, the high major assistant who's overdue for a head coaching job. That's actually kind of what I was looking at initially, as far as potentials. J.R. Blunt was at the top of the list. I mean, I believe he was a finalist for this job in 22, if I'm not mistaken. He's been a finalist for a number of different other jobs. So that's a guy who definitely is due. One other guy that I'm due that I also mentioned. It's a guy we know, Cleveland State fans, which is basically you, John. Jermaine Henderson. He's an assistant now over at Dayton. He's had high major assistant experience. He was over at K-State before he came to before the coaching change there when Jerome Tang took over, and he ended up taking the assistant job at Cleveland State for a year. As I mentioned in the piece, the defense that you saw for the last 3 years with Cleveland State and Daniel Robinson, a lot of that came from Jermaine Henderson. And it's probably was the basis of his appeal when he was an assistant with Gary Waters. So there's a lot of continuity with Jermaine Henderson. So I would definitely be intrigued by that one. I think he should definitely be a candidate for sure. Everybody keeps bringing up the Jim Crutchfield coaching tree. Everyone. It's like it just never ends. I can see the argument though. I can see the argument. Not necessarily for Jordan Fee, because I know he's only been at FAU for a year or so. But I was looking at Ben Howlett, though, because we were talking on the podcast about potential D2 transition people. I know the guy at Fairmont State came up. He's also come up, Koenig. I brought up Travis Lewis from Central State. Like I said, I think he's probably a year away from kind of that next level. I mean, he did an outstanding job. Don't get me wrong. He did an outstanding job at Central State. Turned around a 3-win team, and now they're above 500 and a contender. But Ben Howlett, on the other hand. Now let's talk about this guy for a minute. Do you have another? So Ben Howlett. By the way, he's a Marietta guy. I'm like, really? How did this guy escape my attention? I guess would be my concern. This guy escaped my attention. So this guy has been absolutely. I mean, he's been pretty dominant as far as the. Not happening. Anthony Grant would probably not happen. I'm just throwing that out there. If he hasn't gotten fired yet, he's not getting fired. So, shout out to you, Isaac. Our Purdue Fort Wayne writer, who, by the way, see that Purdue Fort Wayne finally got a new transfer in with Ja'Cory Lipkins, is it? From the University of Charleston. Not College of Charleston. Charleston in West Virginia. Man, you keep bringing up... Why do you keep bringing up Will Ryan? like bringing up Lord Voldemort. But, by the way, Howlett has... Howlett has like decided advantage over Will Ryan, and that's a winning track record. This year he made the Elite Eight. He won 30 games. I mean, if Cleveland State's going to look the Division II route, okay, I'm actually going to go with all the Crutchfield coaching tree guys and say, hey, maybe we should give that guy a look. I feel like that's a good one. Well, of course, John, that Will Ryan's your favorite GB coach because he is a Milwaukee sleeper cell. He's never beating those charges, by the way. But as far as other potential coaching candidates are concerned, we're going to hear a lot of names in the next week or so, and I don't think this is going to take very long. So let's... Thank God, because if this takes long, we're going to be in some deep, deep trouble. And by we, I mean you Cleveland State fans. And by Cleveland, yeah. So, I feel like half the chat is like our writers and stuff. Like, and then, like, what are you doing? This is somehow worse. There are a couple of names out there I saw, and I'm thinking, no, that's not going to happen. Who brought up Juju? Rob Summers came up. Rob Summers, I think, was also a finalist in 22. He's back with Dennis Gates in Missouri. I would definitely give him some consideration. Absolutely, especially the way once he got back with Dennis Gates, they absolutely turned that thing around and ended up back in the NCAA tournament. So that is a good choice. I'm trying to figure out how Drew Joyce III came up from someone, not to mention any names. He's not leaving Duquesne. Duquesne's an A-10 team, and they're probably paying him way more than Cleveland State could. And John Durda, I know that. Yeah, I like Rob Summers too. I was really high on Rob Summers the first time around. I was really high on him and Drew Joyce III a few years back when he was back in 22 before Daniel Robinson eventually got the job. I really hope that he might stick around to take the assistant job, but he ended up going to Miami of Ohio. A little sad he also took Anderson Marambo with him. I missed that freaking guy too, by the way. But yeah, I think that once that happened, they kind of both Drew and Rob Summers scattered. They ended up going in their own directions. Drew Joyce III, his direction ended up netting him the Duquesne job as the, so good for him. And I don't see him leaving, and I don't really blame him. I mean, for him, that's a very good gig. I think that's going to be definitely something that he's going to grow into, without a doubt. He did a pretty good job after... He had a rough start, that's for sure. He had a super rough start. But he definitely did make things happen. So, I'm trying to figure out what was the other... Yeah, I also heard Sonny Johnson's name. I don't think he wants that job. I'm just throwing that out there. There's always been a conversation. I have to say this because I know that at least one Ohio State assistant is going to pop up in whoever's search thing because we've been down this road before. And I'm not really enamored with that whole entire idea. Mostly because of the fact that it's weird because there's not that connection with Ohio State with the rest of the schools in the area. I mean, the only kind of thing that, oh man, no, oh my God, I forgot Brian Mullins. How did I forget Brian Mullins? Dude. All right, so this requires some explanation because I absolutely love Brian Mullins. He got jobbed at SIU and for Scott Nagy, apparently. Oh my God, I can't believe we forgot Brian Mullins. Oh my God. He would do outstanding at Cleveland State, by the way. By the way, shout out to his brother Brendan. For one reason or another, and I can never figure out why, he followed my personal account when I was on Twitter. And I'm like, why? Have you seen my Twitter feed? It's terrible. Why do you think I don't have it anymore? But yeah, Brian Mullins, wow, where is he now? Is he like kind of chilling out right now? Because I would absolutely love to have him here. Because there's a lot of different names, for sure, who are going to be available. Brian Mullins, I can't believe, how did we miss that one? For real. I know but probably because we had a bunch of different names out there. So, where was I? Oh yes, that's right, before you rudely interrupted me, John. Oh no, oh yeah. Well, DePaul doesn't suck anymore, so that actually helps him. I was talking about the kind of the disconnect between Ohio State and the rest of the, I know. Well, I was talking about kind of the disconnect between Ohio State and the rest of the schools in this state. I mean, the only thing I could think of, and it's funny because, you know, there's only one, like, assistant out there that is, like, in Ohio right now. I think that's Jeff Bowles, isn't it? And everybody, I mean, their assistants, I don't know. I mean, it's weird because you see kind of the dynamic in Michigan, where there seems to be a lot more kind of connection between specifically Michigan State and the Michigan schools. And most recent example being Coach Monty over at Detroit Mercy. And you kind of don't see that kind of connectivity within Ohio State. Basically, it's Ohio State and everybody else, essentially. And a lot of good it's done them because they didn't even make the tournament this year. So, so I'm not really. I know there are some people who are going to be high on Ohio State assistants, but I'm not one of them. I'm just not. I know a few years ago when Chris Jett was like being bantied about as a name, I'm like, no. It did not name Sadie Washington. Sadie Washington's name comes up an awful lot. And I don't know why it didn't come up here. Well, I also didn't put Mike Boynton on there either. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I'm sorry. If I had listed every single person, that would be 1,000 words. It would be like 2,000 words long, and nobody wants to read that crap. I'll be surprised if anybody reads this, honestly. But I think Sadie Washington, I think he's one of those guys who, I don't know if I could see him doing that. But at the same time, Sadie Washington or Mike Boynton, I don't think I would not be mad about either of those two picks. Specifically Boynton. So he would definitely get the endorsement from Doug Gottlieb. Because, yeah. Yes. That's right. Sellers. Sellers is an interesting one, mostly because of the fact that his name was kicked around during the Detroit Mercy search. We also know that he's a good coach. Last 2 seasons, he's won the regular season championship in the NEC. He's this close to getting Central Connecticut State out of the never made the tournament club. Shout out to those guys. Cleveland State could certainly offer him more money. My only concern with him would probably be what his approach would be recruiting-wise. I mean, in the portal era, I don't know if it really makes a difference anymore. Especially, I mean, if he's able to make that work at the NEC level, I can absolutely see him being able to replicate that in the Horizon League. One other thing too is he is a Central Connecticut State alumni, so there may be a little bit more of a connection there for him. So that is also something that we should keep an eye on. But I do like the idea, and it's not even my idea, by the way. That one's all John Parker. He's the one who brought that up. He's the one who brought that up in the pod, and I said, yeah, we should probably put that in the thing. His also suggestion that Jason Shea was not be a terrible idea either. And I brought this up in the article too, because Jason Shea is Steve Forbes' assistant at Wake Forest. As all Cleveland State folks know, Wake Forest is in fact where Scott Garrett went, the last Cleveland State AD. So a little bit of a connection there. So I guess we'll see what happens there. I don't know. Any other oddball picks? Because I'm gonna miss a bunch, dude, and it's gonna just be rapid fire for like the next week. I know it's gonna be fun. By the way, if you guys got any suggestions and somebody got it like, I don't know. I would personally appreciate some of you jumping in my DMs and giving us some tips that not everybody has. That'd be awesome. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Dwayne Anderson. Oh, Dwayne Anderson from Thomas. Yeah. No, we're not contracting out Scott Garrett to make the hire, John. This is all Kelsey Harkey's deal. Which, of course, brings me to my next question, by the way, because her contract ends in the end of May. Are you guys going to make her permanent, Cleveland State? That would be a very good idea. That would be very nice to know at this point. Tell us. Tell Cranes. Hell, tell Terry Pluto. We'll have to read 19 paragraphs down to get to that part. But yeah, tell us. Would be nice. Would be nice to know that that Cleveland State's current AD will be here for the long term as the AD, or they have some idea who the AD is going to be. That would certainly be an outstanding idea at this point. I don't know if Brian Barone would leave. I don't know, John. I don't know if Brian Barone would leave. Didn't he already put something else? Didn't Terry already put something out? I'm sure he's talking, but I'm not listening. So I said, wait until tomorrow so Greg puts his stuff together, and I will be doing all that stuff. Yeah, Rob Summers was not an assistant under Gary Waters, James. That was Jermaine Henderson. Please do not do that. I know Cleveland State basketball more than everybody. Don't do that. It's okay. I got this one. Yeah. Brian Barone. I don't know about that one. Didn't he just sign a contract extension, though? Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you meant, yeah, we actually talked about Ben Howlett a little bit, Corny. I actually like it. I actually like Howlett over Fee. If they do go that direction. I do like what both of them bring to the table, but I think Ben Howlett probably has the edge over Jordan Fee. I absolutely would. I would definitely be interested in Howlett. I don't know if Crutchfield wants to go anywhere. I guess that's the thing. I mean, Crutchfield's what, 69 now? I mean, he's probably been offered every job under the sun over the last 10 years, and he's probably said no for whatever reason. So, but I wouldn't be mad at Howlett. I wouldn't be mad at Fee. I think Howlett probably has the edge over Fee, but definitely wouldn't be a terrible idea. So as you guys can see, clearly we have plenty of different things to offer everybody. This is not going to... Okay. So... Now, normally I should be, like, completely freaked out about all this. Oh, that's interesting. Brian Barone hasn't had an extension since 23. John, do we know when his... John Parker, do we know when his contract expires? Because if he's got an expiring contract, hi, Brian Barone. Bob McDonald here. You should look at Cleveland State. I want to say Barone was also in the mix before. Oh, 2026. He might have a little bit of a buyout there, but it's OVC, but it's probably not going to be that much, though. I saw that. Ooh. That one, I don't know if he goes for it, but I wouldn't say, I would think he would. Especially since he just got SIUE into the tourney. Wait. Yeah, that's SIUE. I'm thinking, because SEMO is Brad Korn. I keep getting those two mixed up for some stupid reason. But yeah. Huh. I would enjoy that. Yeah. So here's the deal. And I'm not as freaked out about this as I was. I mean, I don't really disagree with the Crutchfield thing, but again, I think the issue is, has this thought been thought before? I mean, that's the other question. I don't know. I mean, that I can't really dive into the whole Nova Southeastern thing over there. I wouldn't say no to that, but I also don't know if... Again, this is probably a question that has been asked of Crutchfield multiple times. Has to be. I mean, he's been in the game for so long. He's been able to do so much. He's been able to do so well that this cannot have been the first time. This cannot be the first time that we're thinking about this for any particular job. So I wouldn't say, yeah. Where was I? Oh, yes, I was telling Cleveland State fans not to freak out. That's what I was going to do. John, don't freak out. I know you're over there freaking out. Because I know you, man. We've been down this road before. You got to chill. You did not get ripped, John. Well, you didn't get ripped, John, but basically I said you pretty much represent the Cleveland State fan base. Thank you for your patronage, by the way. Always good to get a shout out. But yeah, here we are once again, and I feel like we're going to be back here in 3 years. I think yeah, I know. Yeah, no, James, it's okay. I've been doing this for 30 years. It's okay. I may not look like I'm 50 years old, but I'm 50. So, been down this road many times. This is actually, again, this is one of those instances where, see? Well, you could, John Durda, you could also donate too. You know the drill. You can donate too. HorizoneRoundtable.com/donate. They really do. I mean, so, and maybe I'm not as freaked out as I should be. Yeah, that's the problem right there. I don't see that being an issue. I don't know if that's going to be the issue or not, but the thing is, I know. Well, Cleveland State has had a good track. Fortunately for us, Cleveland State has had a good track record the last two new hires. First with Dennis Gates, and Dennis Gates inherited. We all know Dennis Gates inherited a gigantic train wreck that needed to get fixed within like a month. It was ridiculous. Yeah, Tim Koenig from the Fairmont State guy. We actually talked a little bit about him on the podcast. He's at Fairmont State now. Of course, Fairmont State. Thanks, Greeny. Appreciate that. Yeah. By the way, Greeny's got the big sports card show. Was at the end of April. be sure to go to that. Also, I'm sure Kyle will be involved in that some way. Even if he knows that. But I think Koenig was the. He's not in the like Jared Calhoun, Joe Mazzulla tree. From what Parker told us, that it's kind of he's outside of the ring a little bit. Again, it's one of those. We keep volunteering Kyle for stuff. Incidentally, I'm available too. So I don't know, John. Do you remember how long Koenig's been at Fairmont State? Because I cannot recall at the moment. Because I don't really want. Let me look that up first. Before I'm starting. Yeah. Oh, what is your name, sir? Replace Missoula too. There you go. So, okay. So this guy has been in for a while. Yeah. Oh, no. Missoula was there. It would have had to been 18. Wouldn't have? Because Missoula was there until 8. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. So I don't like the. So I don't. That one again that's another one of those. That's certainly another one of those folks who I would certainly take a look at. Oh, by the way, there's another. That's why this name sounds familiar. Tim Koenig. So you know where Tim Koenig was at before Fairmont State, the now defunct Notre Dame College in Ohio, in South Euclid. So, And it's funny. It's actually pretty funny because it's actually pretty funny how there's this connection, this Northeast Ohio, Fairmont, West Virginia connection. It's that kind of connection, because obviously Jared Calhoun is from here, because he went to Cleveland State. He played for Rollie Massimino in Cleveland State before he went over to Cincinnati and eventually West Virginia as a assistant under Huggy. And here's this guy. And again, he also just like Howlett, he definitely has a really good track record as far as his time at Fairmont State has been. So another decent candidate from D2. So another name we definitely want to take a look out for. But as you can see, Cleveland Staters not going to be bereft of names for this thing at all. So they're definitely not going to be bereft of any names or any candidates, believe me. And now that they have this extra money, they could probably offer some more. They could probably offer a little bit more salary, potentially. I'm sure that will be a point of contention for the wrestling community, but I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, yeah, that might save you for a year, but it ain't going to save you next year. Just throwing that out there, man. All right. So here is the deal. I'm going to get out of here. I said a bunch of shit on the on the podcast, so you guys can listen to that too. Any other questions, comments, whatever? Huh? Oh, we are at Horizone RT on Twitter. We're at Horizone RT. You can also pull HorizoneRoundtable.com /subscribe. We have all of the links to all of our social sites. So all of those links are at Horizone Roundtable /subscribe. I hate search firms so bad. I'm just, no offense to the search firm folks, but I can't stand a single one of you. They will probably have a search. You are correct. They will probably have a search firm. Theoretically, they'll have one. I don't know what good they'll do. I mean, they did a knockout job with Dennis Gates, but I don't know what they're going to do in this case. So, who's to say? Plus, we need to figure out, okay, is our current AD going to be the AD after May 31st? That seems like an incredibly important question, but we will absolutely be trying to figure all that out. All right. So, you guys know the drill. For those of you who for those of you who haven't joined us, don't know who the hell we are the Horizon Roundtable. We cover the Horizon League better than anybody else. We obviously can do better, but we do pretty good. Also, if you want the good shit, you come here. HorizonRoundtable.com, that's where our sites is. All of our social sites, we got links there at HorizonRoundtable.com/subscribe. And now you listen to the podcast, John, so thank you guys very much. Have a good evening. Hopefully this thing gets resolved sooner rather than later. So we'll talk to you again soon next week. I don't know if you guys are baseball fans, but we're going to be Horizon baseball oriented next week, unless something else crazy happens, which is also a distinct possibility. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you.